Today I'm going to show you how to embed a Flodesk form into your Showit website. So right now I have this just kind of fake page here. I've named it email freebie, but I would suggest naming the page something that has to do with whatever the freebie is. And then also I would set this canvas to be window height here. So then when you are viewing it, you can see it fills up the entire window. So that's always a nice feature. And then what you're going to do is bring in your guide, your freebie, whatever you're delivering to somebody into Showit. So basically I created something in Canva and uploaded it to the media library. So that's all set up in Showit. And then we're going to move into Flodesk. So the number one thing to know when you're creating a form is you want to keep in mind that the form itself should be very, very basic and very simple, because the idea is that you're actually designing everything and Showit. So it matches your website, it's on brand, and it's easier to embed just a simple form without all of the extra stuff with it. So to start, you want to click on Forms at the top. And you can see I have a bunch of different forms in here right now, but we'll create a brand new one. So click New Form over on the right. And then you have all of these different options for forms. And one thing to keep in mind is if you're building like a pop-up or something, it would be tempted to click pop-up. But again, you want to remember that most of your design and the features of popping up should come from within Showit. So I suggest always doing an inline form. So when we click inline, we have a bunch of different options. And again, we want it to be super simple. So I'm going to pick this ribbon banner and customize it. And then you can pick the segment. So if somebody puts their name and email into this form, what segment is it going to go into? So for the purposes of this, my freebie is a must-have wedding shot list. So I'm going to just type in a new segment. So wedding shots, for example, and then hit save. And now you're going to get into customizing the form. So the first thing we're going to do is strip it down so there's nothing and no text here. So we just click in the box and double click to delete that part. And then we're going to highlight this and delete this part. So now you can see it's getting stripped down here. One other thing I always like to do is to make sure the background color is transparent. So if you're over here on the right, you can see background color, click the circle, and then this one with the line through it is going to be transparent. So that's going to be perfect to embed onto a site or onto a page, especially with this. So the pink is in the background. So again, you're just making this as stripped down as possible. Canvas color, you can also do the same thing with that. So click the circle with the line through it. So now you can see there's no background with it at all. The next thing we're going to do is edit the fields. So if you click in a field, you can make it required. You could delete the field. I'm going to delete the last name just so it's a little more simple. An email address is automatically required. And then if I click the subscribe button, I'm not having them subscribe to anything necessarily because they're downloading a guide. So I'm going to double click in the box here to highlight the letters. And I'm just going to say download the guide, just so it makes more sense. And then you can actually change the style of the buttons. So maybe you want them rounded, and just keep in mind, this is the button style, right? So if you wanted to change the style of these buttons to match, you would click on one of the fields, go to style, and then make it the same. Also in here, you can see you can change the font as well. So you can try to pick a font that's similar to what your site has. So if I go back to my site, I can see my text is this font. I also have the option of this one. So you want to make it as close to your website as possible. So I'm going to search for that one, and that pulls up fine. And again, you notice that it changed the buttons, but it didn't change it changed the fields, but it didn't change the buttons. So you want to click in that and do the same thing. Click the font button and then click the most recent font. And then the next thing, if I go back to this button, I want to change this color. So looking back at my design settings for my site, I want to maybe change it to this color would look nicer. So I'm going to copy that hex code and paste it in the fill color. So that changes. So at this point, I feel like this all looks good. All my buttons are customized nicely. So then if I click, I've just clicked somewhere else other than in one of these fields or buttons to get this message. So basically, this is the message that's going to show when somebody clicks off submit or subscribe after they've entered their name and email. They have a few customized or standard templates. So I actually want to do a custom one. So I'm going to say, thank you, look for your free guide in your email. Okay. So that's what I want it to say. So that's all I can do in here. So then I'm going to hit next in the top right-hand corner. And then you have a few different options. Should we enable double opt-in? No or yes. So basically, if you click yes, you're having somebody actually confirm their subscription. So we'll leave it as a default as no and hit continue. And then the next one is an option that you can select. So do you want to be notified or do you not want to be notified? So I'm going to click do not and continue. And then you have two different options. After this form is submitted, display a success message, which is what we just changed, or you can have them redirect to a URL. So you have a couple different options here with Flodesk. So if you are delivering a freebie of some sort, you can have the option to have the freebie pop up automatically after they enter their name and email. So we're going to do that version for now, just so we can see the difference. So if we go back into Showit, we've already downloaded our guide into the media library. So if I go in there, you can see the guide here, wedding shot guide. And if you hover over it, there's a little chain icon here. So if we click that, it's going to pop up and say link copied. And that's what we want to see. So then we're going to go back to Flodesk. Okay. Paste that link in there and you can see it's coming from Showit and it's the file. Also, when you bring the file in to Showit, make sure you rename it before you bring it in. So this isn't just a bunch of numbers or anything. And then we're going to hit continue. And then you have two different codes here. So you're going to paste both of these codes into an embed box into Showit. So we're going to go back to Showit and then go down to the bottom in the middle, this little square here, and hover over it. And then you have these options and you're going to click embed code and you're going to drag it to kind of place it where you want. Double click, go back to Flodesk. So the header code you're going to copy and go back to Showit, paste, hit enter, go back to Flodesk, paste the inline code or copy the inline code, paste that down here, and then hit save. And then your form shows up. Now with Showit, you have to kind of move this around and preview it to make sure it looks good. So we're going to preview. So you can see it doesn't look anything like the way it looks in here. So you want to just mess around with it, increase the size, move it around. I'm going to move it over a little bit. So it's going to look a little weird in the editor, but once you get it right, I'm going to scoot, maybe make this a little longer. Once you get it the way you want it. So for this purpose, this looks fine. We can leave it like this. Also make sure and do mobile, because mobile is going to be separate. You can see it's just dropped in here. So you want to make sure and change that as well. Mobile is a little bit more true to what you see. So that's just something to keep in mind too as you're moving this around. For this purpose, we'll just work with desktop right now. So now this is all set. I always like to, one thing I didn't mention, if I go back, if I go back to the forms, you can see my forms. After you're done embedding that, if you go back here, you want to rename this so you know where it's going. So this is for, maybe freebie, wedding shot. Okay. And then we have this all in here. So now I want to test it. So I'm going to view it in a larger screen. And I'm just going to do a test. And when I hit download the guide, it should pop right up. So see how it popped up? So this is the guide. I've entered it and then I've made it pop up. Now, if you didn't want it to pop up automatically, you could go back into this and change it. So if I hit edit, go to customize the third option, I could just say display success message and it would just show that thank you message here. And then you could finish delivering the freebie through Flodesk through their email. So then you would go to workflows and set up a workflow. So if I just did this real quick, you could do a new workflow. You could either do a template or start from scratch, whatever you want. Like this one is delivering a lead magnet. So you could go through the process to set up a workflow. So when somebody subscribes to that segment, so if I go to forms, remember we looked and we changed it to, or we had it as wedding shots. So in the workflow, you would say, if somebody subscribes to a wedding shot segment or is added to the wedding shot segment, then send this, and then you can go through and have the freebie delivered to them. So that is how you deliver a freebie with Flodesk.